All right. Here we go, guys and gals. And boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go racing, drivers.
And we are here with the Loose Wheel Podcast. Andrew Hazlett here, along with Ethan Ignatowski.
Late night edition
Yeah.
for us.
I
mean,
got
you guys can
work.
listen.
You were doing something.
We were both doing things. Yes.
Yeah. So, well, we're up to episode 22. Ethan, I don't know about you, but I'm feeling 22, as someone said once.
Someone did say that once, just like you did a thing once.
Yeah. Let's get into the reviews. Out.
And now for last week's race reviews.
Here's the thing, is that I had a very busy week and was unable to watch the Detroit IMSA race or find an article that mentioned that what happened. So I'm going to go to Wikipedia real quick to read off the results because I am lazy. Well, not lazy, but you know.
Sounds like that's the only option, really.
Yeah, I did see Philippe Albuquerque and Ricky Taylor won, which was for the first time they've won in a long while in the 10 Acura. They're the sister car of Jordan Taylor and Louis Delatrez won that earlier this season. Rounding out the podium, you had Nick Tandy and Matthew Jaminet of the 6 Porsche, I believe, and Sebastian Bourdais, Renger van de Zande finishing third around in the Ganassi Cadillac. The 7 Porsche's podium streak has ended, and also during the race there was a big and not a sufficient wreck where they were trying to do recreate the Austin Power scene of doing the 3-point turn. I think that was from the movie. But yeah, there's a lot of random things happening. Well, I don't even know. There was wrecks happening, stuff happening. Yeah. Cool, fun.
When racing happens, things happen.
Yeah. Going to GT. Great job, Ethan. Going into GTD, Lauren Heinrich and Sebastian Prelou got their second win back-to-back. With every race they finished this year, they've put on the podium. So good for them, I guess. Yeah. Yeah, they won. Finishing second was the Lexus group of Ben Barnicoat, Jack Hawksworth. Finishing third was the Aston Martin team, Heart of Racing, Rosca, and Alex Riberas. Something random that's really not of note, but the 9 Pfaff McLaren either podiums or DNFs every race. They've podiumed once, DNF'd 3 times. So yeah, random.
Interesting.
Point standings, it's this for the teams. It's still the 7 Porsche, 01 Cadillac, 6 Porsche, and the 31 Whelen Cadillac. And then you have the 2 Acuras, 2 BMWs, and then the 2 privateer Porsches. Proton Mustang sampling over JDC Miller at the moment. GTD Pro, it's the 77 AO Racing, 14 Vassar Sullivan, 23 Heart of Racing, followed by Paul Miller Racing, followed by the 2 Corvettes, 4 and 3, then the Pfaff 9, then the 2 Ford 65, 64, and then your various part-time entries. So yeah, so that's Detroit IMSA Sports Car. Sorry, I'm bad at my job.
All good, Andrew. I will take it from here for the Indycar. And just a note to anyone listening, we're trying very hard to get these episodes consistently at around an hour. We were doing decent at that, and then things got out of control. So one thing that we're going to be doing is just going a lot quicker through the reviews. All that being said, let us march quickly through this review of Detroit of the Detroit IndyCar race. Colton Herta, he was leading the race from pole, and instant action when Will Power spun on the start after Lundgaard tried to send it 3 wide on him and Teo Porcher. Whole lot of cars stacking up, Ferrucci, Rossi Award, Lundqvist, and more, but Herta led from the restart, and then things just kept going crazy. Santino Ferrucci hit Castro Neves. He spun and hit Kiffin Simpson. Colton Herta, caution came out. Colton Herta again leading the field to green. Rasmussen had an engine error while running in the top 10.
Yeah, he was running good, surprisingly.
Yeah, he was. And then some rain started to come in, which was kind of a theme in this race, a little bit of sprinkling here and there, which, I mean, had a lot more of an impact on the race than I think you would initially think for just some sprinkling rain throughout the day. But anyway, you would think that things maybe would start to clear up as the race, getting past that opening stage, but you would be wrong. Scott McLaughlin locked up and hit into the wall. After that, the leaders pit, and the rain picked up again. More drivers are pitting for wets. But then the rain basically stopped. So drivers are on different tires, wet tires, dry tires, as the rain came quickly and went away fast. Basically, it was just craziness at that point. But eventually, shortly after that, Will Power hit Rena's VK. And that brought out another caution, and pretty much everyone else who was on wets pit for dries. Colton Herta made he did crash into Pillow, right? He caused that wreck, you would say?
Yeah, he went in. He didn't crash into
Dive
Pillow. He just
bombing.
drove way too deep into a corner, and
Yeah.
he didn't take out just Tristan Vautier, but if Tristan Vautier didn't make a heads-up move, he would have taken him out.
Yeah. So Vautier and Herta get passed by the field under caution. And Colton Herta, he had a good chance to be in the running for the win until he kind of took himself out of the race with some overly aggressive moves that he really didn't need to make.
He has one of the worst racing IQs in racing right now. He is fast, but sometimes he just spins it for no reason.
Insanely good pace, but just a lack of awareness, I would say.
He's basically Jameis Winston. I said that in our group chat earlier of racing.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah. Moving on, though. Drivers need to pit one more time. So drivers started to come into pit, Will Power being one of them. Kyle Kirkwood led the field to green, and the drivers raced happily ever after to the end. Wrong. Roman Grosjean spun from contact, hit Lundgaard. Armstrong and Lundqvist stuck behind that. Herta hit Ferrucci under caution. More pit stops. Kirkwood, Ericsson, Rossi, Pillow, and Award. And then Dixon, Newgarden, Armstrong, Vautier, and Lundgaard gambled with the alternate strategy.
Yeah, this was about 44 laps to go. They were trying to make it long, and I said to my dad, okay, this is where Dixon just goes crazy with fuel saving and wins this race.
It's what he's best at.
And then the guys in the booth saying, oh, no, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, you would think that everyone would know by now, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, after that, Roman Grosjean had a funny radio message where he basically said that he's not in the championship battle, so like, why are they even racing? Essentially, he wanted to quit the race.
Yeah.
And then there was some drama with his teammate as Teddy Porkchops hit Augustine Canapino on a restart. And oh man, we'll talk more about that later. But Augustine Canapino and his fans, just disgusting, really disgusting behavior from them. But more drivers getting into damage. Christian Lundgaard, Stingray Robb, all this stuff happening. Eventually, though, just jumping ahead to the end of the race, there was more pit stops and all that, but we're trying to get through this quickly. Dixon was leading all the way till the end, like you were saying, Andrew. And there was some battling a little bit behind him. Kyle Kirkwood
Passing the lap cars there.
Yeah, he was passing lap cars, passing the 51 car, passing the 51 car, lapping the 8 car. Ericsson was battling with Kirkwood, and just did Ericsson get third? Right?
He got second.
He got second. Yeah, that's
He passed
right.
Armstrong.
Him and
at the end.
Armstrong had a really nice battle there,
Mhm.
which Ericsson did win. Couldn't remember if he was able to pull ahead, but he did. Scott Dixon won, Ericsson second, Armstrong third.
Yeah. Going to Gateway, Corey Heim won the truck race. I'll briefly mention I did watch Portland because I do like road course Xfinity racing. SVG won that. He had one of the best cars all day. He dominated the first stage and third stage, got caught back in a bad pit stop second stage. But anyway, Cup, Gateway. McDowell had a pole and he led for a little bit, but shortly after, we had a couple spins where McDowell was leading. You had Cody Ware get into it with John Hunter Nemechek, and then he on lap 3 and then lap 18, Ware again made contact and spun with Derek Kraus. So Cody Ware back being a menace. On the second caution, the back half of the field pit. So there's different strategies all throughout the race. I'm going to talk about that more later. Bell passes McDowell with 4 laps to go in stage 1, and Bell leads it. You had a few guys pick alternate strategies. Priest and Trix on 2 tires. Bell, McDowell, and Cindric were the first on 4. And you had a handful of guys stay out. The 8 of Busch, 38 Gilliland, 3 Dillon, 4 Barry, 16 Kraus, 47 Stenhouse. Busch surged ahead on the restart, and Bell passed Busch quarter way into stage 2. Broadcast thought Elliott might have a total issue, and Elliott thought he might have a total issue. Turns out he didn't. So yeah, I don't know why I had left that on there. Green flag stops, Barry speeding drive-through. Truex had a flat tire that took him out of contention. Cindric leads at this point when Barry hit in the wall for flat tire. Bad sequence for him. So he was the first retirement of the race. Some cars pit, including those that didn't come under green. Bell inherits the lead, holds lead on restart, and then Kyle's make contact. Larson spun into Busch after contact from Busch to end stage 2. Busch retired. Larson was laps down. Bell won stage 2. Stage 3, first off pit road, Bell, Elliott, Keselowski, Gibbs, Byron, top 12 stay out, including the Penske trio of Cindric, Blaney, Logano, and then tag on Briscoe and Hocevar. Cindric gets the lead. Green flag pit stops. Blaney jumps Cindric on pit stops. Keselowski leads a group that stays out, but they wind up pitting. Blaney recycles to lead. Bell and Blaney battle for 8 laps. Bell goes ride, loses a bit of ground, and then Bell loses his engine. But he doesn't blow it completely, so he's just like off the pace a little bit, which was weird because you either lose an engine or you don't. You just don't run off the pace for like a while, which was weird. And then Truex kind of was pushing him for a little bit, which was interesting. And then Blaney runs out of the gas at the white, and Cindric to the lead and steals it for his second career win to punch his ticket to the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs. It was an okay race. I would give it about a 6-7 out of 10. At Detroit, I would give about the same. Too many crashes, for it to be good.
I would honestly put Detroit a little lower than that because the ending sequence with the battle for second was really nice racing, but honestly, before that, it was just so hard for the race to find its own groove that I don't know if I could rate it that high. I'd say a 4 or a 5, like average to a little below average, just because there was no rhythm in that race, and there's a lot of cautions, which makes things interesting, but there wasn't any great on track stuff going on. And for IndyCar, which is a series where you see a lot of that, you have to rate it against other IndyCar races. You know what I mean?
I see where you come from. Yeah. One thing race control needed to be better with that caution. That first caution with the rain took too long, and a lot of people want to go back to Belle Isle, and myself included.
Yeah,
but anyway,
that would be better.
And now for the news.
Beard Motorsports has official and into the news now. I guess I should say that. Beard Motorsports taps Parker Retzlaff to make his NASCAR Cup Series debut at Daytona in the fall race, and adding Anthony Alfredo back for the fall Talladega race. That's going to round out their schedule for the year. Interesting to see them go with the Retzlaff, a rookie who hasn't, a guy who hasn't done much in Jordan Anderson equipment. He's certainly overachieved, but he hasn't drastically overachieved, So it'll be interesting to see what he can do there. Ethan, very amused by that, obviously. NASCAR officially grants playoff waiver to Kyle Larson. This is such a good thing. Should they change the rules after this? Yes, because I think NASCAR wants their drivers to race in their series, not go racing in other series. But I do think this is the right call. I think NASCAR, if Kyle Larson knew that NASCAR wouldn't give it to him, a waiver to him, he would have gone to Charlotte.
For sure.
So yeah, it's just knowing the circumstance, knowing the waiver, staying consistent. I do think they need to change the rule so that you can't miss a race because you're racing in another race.
I don't know. I mean, I get what you mean. Like, of course, NASCAR and all racing series wants their drivers to race in their own series as opposed to going over to another series for 1 or 2 races. But I think allowing 1, maybe even 2 instances a year is okay. Especially because it wasn't for some random thing, it was for the Indy 500.
Yeah.
Like, Fernando Alonso skipped Monaco for the Indy 500. Like, this isn't the first time that a driver has done something like this for the Indy 500, and it makes sense because it's the Indy 500.
Well, that is true, but I think NASCAR should just not be as okay. Here you go with waivers.
Probably not, but
like Matt Kenseth, he was just doing nothing for the first 4 races in 2020. NASCAR said, "Okay, here's our waiver."
Well, yeah, that's a little different,
Yeah, but I think NASCAR needs to tighten up their waiver policy, make it known too if they're going to make changes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there was I think
I
with
would say 1 or 2 at most waivers. I don't know how you feel about that, but
I don't think it's something you can put a number on. It's a very circumstantial thing.
so you would like it to, well, because then it gets into the realm of being a subjective thing, and it would be, is this race important enough? Does NASCAR deem this race to be of enough significance for a driver to miss or whatever? And then I think things just get messy. So I think it would have to be a number on it.
I think there should be a clear line in the sand. Say, okay, this is what's important. Everything else isn't. Or I do think NASCAR should say,
I don't know.
okay,
I think anything but a number would get messy, but we'll
uh,
see how NASCAR
we'll see.
themselves addresses it.
We'll see.
We'll see.
Sergio Perez signing a 2-year extension with Red Bull.
Yeah, he will be a Red Bull Formula One driver through the 2026 season. There
According
was
to his contract.
Hmm?
According to his contract.
Yes. There was a lot of talk about Perez being at Red Bull for another year, and it seemed to almost be a certainty. But what surprised me, and I think most other Formula One fans, is that second year. And we know it's a second year. It's not just being called a multi-year deal, which is very rare in Formula One because Formula One teams and drivers don't like to tell the media or fans details of the contract, which
Sucks.
is pretty annoying. But here we have a firm answer. 2 years. Very interesting because I wouldn't think that Red Bull would want to keep him around for 2 years, but I mean, obviously they do, or else they wouldn't have signed him. I think part of it is because I think we all know that they don't truly see Yuki Tsunoda as an option for that Red Bull for that Red Bull main team. I think they want to give Daniel Ricciardo another shot at least. For some reason they seem very happy with veteran Daniel Ricciardo taking a spot in the junior team, or sorry, now sister team, even though we all know it's the junior team. And I guess if Liam Lawson were to join V-Carb,
He'd replace
it just
Tsunoda.
gives, yeah, I guess he replaces Perez at the end of the 2 years, and it gives Lawson enough time to settle into Formula One before he's pushed into that Red Bull. And I think they would rather promote from within than go from outside, because if they didn't want to do that, they would have just offered Carlos Sainz. I know before there was talks about how, like, oh, they can't afford Carlos Sainz or whatever. I'm sure they could have afforded Carlos Sainz, especially since the 3 most expensive contracts in the team don't count towards the budget cap. So I'm sure they could have afforded Carlos Sainz. To me, this just seems like they want to stick with what's new, or with what they know, instead of going to something new.
Yeah.
So is it the right move? I guess
No.
well, for now, yes, because Red Bull is still going to win the Drivers' Championship with Max Verstappen and probably going to win the Constructors' Championship. But if the Ferrari and the McLaren continue to develop and either next year or even this year get to the point where they're taking away the Constructors, one of them is taking away the Constructors' Championship from Red Bull, then no, it's not a good move. And time will only tell on that. So hard to say.
My prediction.
Do I like the move? No, I don't. I mean, based off of what I said, you can probably tell that I wish Carlos Sainz was in that seat. But
I agree.
We all knew that Perez was going to be there for 1 more year. It's a little shocking 2 more years. I guess part of it is because of the new regulations in 2026, having a driver from the past regulations carry over to the new regulations, I suppose makes sense in some ways. That might be the reason. Actually, yeah, that's a pretty solid reason.
Yeah. I don't like this move. I don't think Red Bull will be 5 steps ahead of the competition like they are at some points
I
in
agree.
this series. So
if I did have to guess, I would say it would come back to bite them.
Yeah. So I don't like it for 2026. 2025, it's a toss up because I do think the competition does want to get closer and will get closer. But we'll see.
2026 with those new regulations, who knows if Red Bull's going to be this far ahead, if they are even ahead at all.
Yeah.
And if they're not, then you would want the most competitive duo or the best duo you can put, not Max Verstappen and someone who's a fair few steps behind, who, when you have such a dominant car, it doesn't matter. But when you don't have that dominant car, every single position matters.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I'm going to jump from this news story to the Esteban Ocon
Yeah, that
news
makes sense.
story. Ocon, he will be racing at Canada. As I said, he most likely would. However, also, like I said, I could very likely see happening is him leaving Alpine at the end of the year, and that is indeed happening.
Yay.
This was announced a few
Good
days
job,
ago at
Ethan.
this point. What's up?
Good job. You got that right.
Put one on the board for me in our, well, we don't have a championship for this, but just be known that I got this right. Correct.
Yeah.
So this was announced a few days ago at this point. We're recording on June 4th. So
Who knows when I get this out? Hopefully tomorrow.
yeah, but at this point, had a few when it had at least a day
Yeah. Simmer.
to simmer, like you said, and kind of think about it. It makes sense because I think a lot of people think that what happened in Monaco was made the team make a rash decision. I completely disagree. I think that was just the straw that broke the camel's back. That was the tipping point. It wasn't anything that was so dramatic of an incident that it would prompt Alpine to make such a drastic decision. It was just the culmination of so many things over time and things that we don't always see in the public. Like things happen behind the scenes that we don't always see that could very well have contributed to this because, correct or not, Ocon has a reputation in the paddock, and Alpine making a move like this, it doesn't confirm his reputation to the fans, but it almost does in a way, you know? So the main question is, where will Esteban go from here? And then who will take his seat? I'll answer the first question first. Where will he go? Well, he's been talking to Haas. We know that. We know that Sauber, soon to be Audi. I mean,
Saudi.
I would assume that they would be interested. I don't know if I've seen anything linking them. I feel like I have, but I might not have. But I think the most interesting proposition is Mercedes because
Huh?
he has that connection with Toto Wolff, and I don't like him going to Mercedes. I don't think he deserves a seat there, but Formula One is often a mixture of who knows who, or just connections. You could probably put it better. Connections, talent, and money that you bring into the team. Esteban fills that connection category extremely well. And although he might not have the talent in my mind to be at a team like Mercedes, he is also no slouch. He's a great driver. It's just I don't think he's quite Mercedes level. Although Mercedes is falling down the grid, so there is that. But assuming they want to be fighting for championships again, I don't think Esteban Ocon's gonna be a part of a Mercedes team that does that. I don't know. Maybe I'm completely wrong, but that's just what I think. So I think Mercedes is a very interesting option. However, if I had to guess, I would say he'll go to Sauber because I'm sure they're interested in him. And although he has been talking to Haas a lot, I think he'd rather go to Sauber than Haas. And I'm sure Sauber would be interested because he's a talented, still pretty young driver. And I mean, Haas is who knows, you know? So those are really the options for Esteban. Who will take his seat though?
I wanted to contribute. I think
Yeah, go for it.
Ocon. You didn't mention this team, Ethan. I'm surprised you didn't. He's going to Williams.
No.
Sargent's out. And who are they going to replace him with? I don't think Antonelli. I think another year of F2 for Antonelli. Stopgap year for Ocon.
Like I just said, Formula One is often not 100% who deserves what based off of merit. Kimi Antonelli, extremely talented young driver who probably should have another year in F2 before coming over to Formula One, where I'm sure he will have a nice career. But I think Mercedes and Williams will work out an agreement for Antonelli to be in that Williams car for next season, just because of his status as a prospect, right? Like,
We'll see.
yeah,
We'll
I
see.
think that that's what's going to happen. But yeah, you might be right there. Who will Alpine fill his seat with though? There's a couple options here. I'll go over a few that just aren't going to happen. Mick Schumacher, just
Yeah, that's
not gonna happen. I mean, that's really the only one I want to say flat out won't happen. I mean, he's been with their sports car team for a while now,
And whack, yeah.
but I don't think he's gonna ever come back to Formula One.
No.
I just don't. I think that, you know, Victor Martins, he's an option. But he's struggling in F2 this season. But I mean, he does have the plus that he's French. There are there's a drive, you know, Carlos Sainz. Could Carlos Sainz go to Alpine? Pretty likely. If Yuki Tsunoda's seat disappears because Daniel Ricciardo is rumored to stay at VCarb, and we think that Liam Lawson is extremely likely to get a VCarb drive next season. That makes Yuki the odd man out. Could Yuki go to Alpine? Potentially.
Yes.
But who I think will be is Jack Doohan, because the team is so obviously invested in Jack Doohan. I mean, he could have had another season of F2 this year. He finished third last year in his second season. A nice performance, finishing third. And he would have been one of the favorites to win the championship if he would have gone back this year. But instead, Alpine basically said, no, just come learn under us, be the test and reserve driver, all that. So it's obvious to me that they have a major investment in him. They believe in him. And I don't think they're going to want another Oscar Piastri situation where a junior driver leaves them. So I think they very quickly will announce Jack Doohan to take Ocon's seat. What do you think there, Andrew?
I think Yuki.
You do think Yuki. Okay.
Yeah.
Why is that?
I don't buy the Doohan hype. I just don't. I do think possibly Drugovich. I want to see him in a
Dragovich could be an option, but I think that they would rather promote from their own academy than someone else's academy.
True, or I don't know. Depending on how the Formula 2 championship goes, go with the Formula 2 champion, if they can go on that route.
Yeah, Paul Aaron would be, if he can continue, because he seems to be on the upward trajectory in the F2 championship. That would be an interesting and a move that I would support. Honestly, Paul Aaron might be in the running for the Williams seat over Antonelli if he wins the championship. If not, I don't think so.
Mhm.
But if he does win the championship, yeah, maybe. But I mean, I think Williams and Antonelli are just such a perfect combination. Not perfect combination, but just a combination that I think will happen. Because I mean, we've already seen or heard the rumors and all that they're trying. One of the teams is trying to get Antonelli to become Formula One eligible before he even turns 18, right? So that team, based off of clues and such, is most likely Williams.
Yeah, I've heard their team rhymes with Silliums.
Yeah, that's what I've heard as well. So that's that on the Alpine situation. And since we've talked about Yuki in this, let's just finish this little silly season update up. Yuki Tsunoda, he has been thrown around the paddock in rumors with Alpine, like we've discussed. Williams as well,
Haas.
and Haas. And out of those, I think Haas is honestly, unfortunately for Yuki, where I think he ends up, because I just think those other teams are going to go other directions, and Yuki Tsunoda is too young and too talented to not be on the grid. And I think Haas is going to give him a chance to kind of step into that team leader role, right? Because Oliver Behrman is almost certainly going to be the other driver. Very talented, very fast, but he'll be young, and Yuki will become the guy with experience. And I think that that's probably something that he'll be interested in as he leaves the Red Bull family.
Is it a possibility that he goes to Kick, Steak, Sauber, Audi?
I mean, certainly, because you can never really count anything out of out of possibility in the Formula One
World?
silly season world. But I haven't seen anything linking him to Sauber. But I mean,
Who's the favorite for that seat right now?
I think it's probably still Carlos Sainz, but I think it's currently a seat just kind of muddled in question, you know.
Mhm.
Who is going to take that seat? There doesn't really seem to be a correct answer right now. Whereas, you know, other seats like the Alpine seat, like the Williams seat, you look around, there's more clear answers. It's hard to say who's going to take that Sauber seat.
Mm-hmm. All right, we'll see.
Yeah.
I know
Last couple,
you love the
sorry.
Pirelli news here.
Yeah, last couple pieces of Formula One news. Pirelli is considering a C6 tire. Remember C1 through C5, that is the compound of tires.
Do they still have Z0?
No, just 1 through 5. So 1 being the hardest, 5 being the softest currently. But this would be another softer, even softer compound for street circuits, which could benefit from having a softer compound that would degrade sooner and be faster at those tracks. That's all well and good. If they can develop a tire for street circuits and it makes the events even better, then that's awesome. But I would like to see something even more extreme. I would like and they won't do this because they're not going to do something just for one race. But I would like to see Pirelli unleash a C7 tire that would specifically be for Monaco, and it would be just the softest, highest degrading tire you could imagine. It would, like, you would have to pit multiple times in that race. It would cause a lot of chaos with the teams, might even make racing better. Who knows? but I think that's one thing that could be looked at for sure to improve the Monaco experience.
Yep.
Last quick hit when it comes to Formula One news: Adrian Newey, car designing extraordinaire. His rumors to Ferrari have only increased. In some in the Formula One kind of rumor world. Let me try to find this article.
I'm just gonna say real quick, Ferrari hiring Freddie Vassar as a team principal, that move is looking really good right now.
Oh yeah, I mean, he is taking that team to the heights that it should be. And if he can get Newey, it'll become the heights that it should be, and then some.
You could argue he's the best team principal right now.
I don't think I would argue against you. I mean, the quick turnaround there. I mean, yeah, it's really got to be either him or
Horner, I think.
I was gonna say Andrea Stella, because how quickly he's improved that McLaren as well. But yeah, I mean, Horner's always got to be in those talks.
I'll give a shout out to Mike Crack as well for our Aston Martin. They've gone the
other way, in my opinion.
Well, last year I would have said Crack for sure, but
yeah,
last year they took a huge step forward, so I'll give them credit there.
I can no longer find the article that I was searching for.
Right.
Very unfortunate, but yeah, Adrian Newey and Ferrari, if not Ferrari, Williams has also been rumored, but the Ferrari rumors are ramping up.
Yeah. Moving to IndyCar, Newgard and Penske staying together for 2025 and beyond. Best driver arguably on the grid, with the best team arguably on the grid. No reason to change that long-standing relationship until it doesn't work. Smart move all sides. Now Team Penske's got to re-sign McLaughlin, and we'll see about the third seat because Power is getting up there in age.
Yeah.
Last week on our thing, we introduced new award, and the Google Meets didn't pick it up. The chicken, which is going off right now. Hopefully, don't reduce noise. Go away. Okay.
It's a rubber chicken.
It's a rubber chicken. I'm trying to not talk. I'm going to talk and have this go off at the same time.
Nah, that just makes your voice sound weird.
Okay. Nice. Great job, Google Meets, whatever this thing is. But Santino Ferrucci is an idiot. It's
harsh.
He said,
maybe not though.
He said, referring to Herta being Kyle Kirkwood's, end quote, little boyfriend teammate. Bro, in the month of Pride Month, he's just saying this.
Yeah.
And Herta's confused. It's like, when they told him Santino was mad at you, he was like, huh, me, what did I do?
Yeah.
And then Kyle Kirkwood was the one that should be mad at Santino Ferrucci, because Santino in practice just decided to hit him. Well, not hit him, but turn right into him on his straightaway, because he's mentally not the smartest human being. As Colton Herta said, he was a bit of a nutcase. And his apology award coming out, it basically said, "Oh, I'm gonna get in trouble. I'm in trouble. I need to apologize. I'm sorry. I didn't. I'm, what I'm trying to say here, Ethan.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna say it. I'm gonna say it at anything, but I don't mean it. Type of thing. It's just Santino. I wish your brain. I wish your race car talent was your human talent.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
you.
I wouldn't have called him an idiot on the podcast just because you know,
Well, not just
maybe that isn't the best thing we should be saying, but honestly, if we were to say it about anyone who did anything, it would be for Santino Ferrucci and his actions and words this weekend. Because, yeah, I mean, pretty much everything you said, just right on. Like, what is this man thinking, if he even does think?
yeah. I I want the guy to be still a villain, but not just be saying things that are out of line.
Yeah, don't be saying
No,
things like that.
and that's idiotic. I'm I'm that's just you got to know like things that are just not right to say.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that is idiotic behavior.
Yeah.
And yeah. So yeah. There you go. There you go, Santino. Hopefully
I
this thing picked up.
Yeah. I think that time it did a little bit actually.
Okay. Yay.
Personally, I know the chicken award is your thing, but I would like to come to the negotiation table and propose a chicken award this weekend, with the other recipient being Augustine Canapino and his fan base, because Teo Porcher received death threats and just nasty comments from Canapino's fans after the contact. And Canapino went on Twitter, was liking all these nasty things about Porcher, and also relating Porcher to Callum Ilott, or liking something that basically said Tail Porcher and Callum Ilott are the same person, which, if you guys remember, this same thing basically happened last year with Callum Ilott. It's
Twice.
honestly just straight up disgusting behavior from Augustine Canapino and his fans. And I'm not afraid to say that, because someone has to hold him and his fans accountable. Like, these are drivers and human beings, and you have to have respect for them, especially Augustine Canapino, who is supposed to be like a role model. Like, he's a professional athlete in one of the top flights of motor racing. Like, you just gotta do better than that.
Yeah. I doesn't help that the main owner of the team, Juncos, Ricardo Juncos, is Argentinian and he likes Canapino. So yeah, it's just not fun. I Canapino, he wouldn't be on here if he just said literally cut the crap to his fans, like this is unacceptable. But
Yeah.
he kind of he isn't facilitating anything, but he's kind of just doing nothing and letting it happen. He just needs to put it. He needs to put his foot down.
Juncos and McLaren basically released a joint statement, which you
And
can all
then
go find. But like Augustine
Juncos
Canapino, huh?
Juncos also released their own.
Yeah. But Augustine Canapino, as far as I know, hasn't said anything himself.
Oh,
So
he has. It was better than Santino's apology, I think, but
fair enough.
Wishy-washy.
Yeah. I'll let you take the next piece of news, Andrew.
Yeah, here hopefully we got some chickens in that time. Anyway, I'm not throwing the chicken this time because I don't want to. Good news. ABC Supply and Foyt partnership raises $5.2 million for homes for our troops. Great job, ABC Supply, AJ Foyt Racing, just to get raising money for the a charity. So good job. I think we need some positivity news. So just if you want to check out Homes for the Troops, you can find so by using the internet. I don't know exactly where or how, but you could figure that out. Yeah, that's just something good using a sport and the sport's biggest race to do something good. And I like good. Do you want to be good, Ethan?
I mean, I prefer that to the alternative.
Good, good. How about a fresca?
Agua fresca?
No, a fresca, the soda.
Oh. Uh,
No,
I don't know.
it's a line from a movie.
Oh, okay.
Caddyshack. Um,
Going
and
culture.
yeah, you're the uncultured one for once.
Yeah.
Anyway, Luca Giotto, I can finally
Let's
pronounce his game.
go.
He's back for more. It's coin. He gets the coin 51 seat for Road America Laguna Seca. So yeah, and coin still announcing bits 2 at a time. Pretty much it seems like, yeah, good for him, I guess. I did. It did seem like he was going to be racing more after the NGGP, just how it kind of felt. I think we might see the same with Vautier at a track or two, but I wouldn't be surprised if we could get Giotto at a couple more races as well. Anyway, last bit of news, kind of a rumor here. Harold McLaren hoping Larson takes a second swing at the Indy 500, just kind of saying, "Oh yeah, the door. If he wants it, the door is open." And I would think he would want it based off of getting to run 500 miles of the double, both races being affected by rain, which we talked about. So yeah, I would hope and expect that he would do it, regardless of him doing it or not. I do expect Aaron McLaren to run 4 cars at the Indy 500 next year.
I hope he does the Indy 500 next year.
Yeah.
And now for next week's race previews.
Previews: IndyCar, Road America, bringing Indy next along. I would imagine some of the other feeder series, but I don't pay attention to them. Road America this week. America's Spot's been called. Great track, awesome road course in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, cool. In your changing entry cars this week, you have Elio Castroneves back in the 66. Who's going to be racing it after? Who knows? In the 51, as I just mentioned, Luca Giotto. And yeah, that's really it. 6 still Teo Boucher for the rest of the year. Yeah, we'll see who goes where coming soon. So yeah, probably going to be a 2-3 stop race like every IndyCar race that's not the Indy 500. So yeah, that's what you can expect there. Formula One going north of the border. Ethan, talk to me, buddy. What do you got for that?
Canada should be fun. It is. Yeah. I don't know. I was gonna say one of my favorites. Yeah, I'd probably put it in one of my favorites. Very fun to drive in the Formula One games if you
Yeah,
haven't driven it.
I'd
But
give
this
it.
is
I'd
sorry.
give it. I'd give it an A plus.
Yeah.
Okay, you did. That was a funny joke.
I didn't get it.
How Canadians always say A?
Ah, yes. Okay. Yeah, I should have got that.
A little slow.
I apologize to you and the people. It's pretty late. But yeah, Canada. I don't even know, man. Like, is it gonna be McLaren or Ferrari that's the second best? Because I still think Red Bull's the first best. But I mean, they are coming into this with I should say, off of a down weekend Red Bull. Max didn't have a great weekend in Monaco, and Sergio had a weekend from hell. So we'll see if they can bounce back. I don't know of any particular upgrades, but we'll see. I think that Esteban will drive like a madman because he literally has nothing to lose now.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we're going to be seeing him drive like crazy. But besides that, I don't really have anything to say for the preview.
10-second penalty to Ocon.
Yeah.
Sonoma, this weekend you got Cup and Xfinity. In Cup, you have a couple of ringers along with your Casgrel in the 15, Cody Ware and not Cody Ware, AJ Allmendinger in the 16. It's tired. You have the supercars guys coming over. 33 for Rich Childress Racing. You have Will Brown, and in the 60 for RFK, you have Cameron Waters, who has done a couple truck series starts this year. In the Xfinity series, who said, Ethan? Boris said is back. I was hoping you would try to do something there with a joke or something. I don't know. It's tired. It's late. I'm tired. I can't speak coherently right now. Anyway, NASCAR app is terrible. I'm now going to a different place to navigate and find information because yay. The Zip net is this is the name for the Xfinity race. Zip. Buy now, pay later 250.
That's the name.
You have in the JD Motorsports cars this week, Garrett Smithley in the 4 and Thomas Annunziata in the 6. I think that's how it's pronounced. 17, as I mentioned earlier, the return of Boris Said, Hendrick Motorsports, Ty Gibbs All-Star cars. You have or the Joe Gibbs All-Star cars. You have Ty Gibbs and John Hunter Nemechek. Eric Almirola will not defend his race win, unfortunately. Austin Green returns in the 32 for Jordan Anderson, and 35 for Joey Gase. You have Sage Karam. 50 for Pardis Racing. You have Preston Pardis. And the Josh Bilicki returns to normal ride in the 92 after top 10, I think top 5 run at Portland. Don't quote me on that. And then you have finally for the Estes Greenlight cars, Alex Labay from Canada and Brad Perez. So yeah, now it's time. Ethan, for the picks.
And now for next week's race picks.
Yeah.
Dad, for the guests this week, you have my dad. So yay. We'll see. Who?
We need to go over my
No, we don't.
amazing performance last
We
weekend.
need to keep this to an hour. Don't have time for that.
I went and scored at least 1 point in every single event last week. Picked correctly 4 out of the 7 winners: Louis Foster, Scott Dixon, the 77 AO, and Corey Heim. If you don't want to talk about the rest of it, Andrew, I perfectly understand. I would be pretty embarrassed too. I mean, I did pick up 29 points on you after all.
That's my reaction. I didn't realize this thing was so loud. Probably keeping up my parents. I don't know. Who knows? Hopefully not. Anyway. Indy Next Road America, my dad picking the man who will be able to do it, Jacob Abel. His words or something like that. Nolan Siegel hasn't run in a while, won in a while, and he won this race last year, so I'm going with Siegel.
Louis Foster picked up 5 points for me last weekend. I feel like I should give him the benefit of the doubt to do it again.
Yeah. In the Road America race, I'm going Alex Palou. He's been always good at Road America, it seems like. He stole one from Newgarden a couple of years ago. I think that was 22, if my memory is right. Might have been 21.
I think it was 22.
Yeah.
I was just looking at
Yeah.
that on Wikipedia.
And yeah, it was 21, and then
Oh,
he won at 23. But you want to talk about the guy who won in 22, who is the current driver of the two, Ethan?
Yes, I picked Joseph Newgarden, as did your dad. I assume he picked him for the same reason I picked him. Very good driver, doing very good, and very good at Road America. Alex Palou is also a great pick, but different direction for us.
Yeah. Canada. Dad going different here. He likes Leclerc trying to go back to back. Verstappen P2 and Sergio Perez getting rebound P3.
Yeah, I have Max, Lando, and Charles. Part of me wants to switch Charles and Lando, but I'm gonna stick it like this. Obviously Leclerc, he has the momentum. Ferrari might be better than McLaren at Canada. I don't know, but just going with the gut, or maybe I'm letting my
Brain overthinking.
fan voice take over. But Leclerc, Norris, Verstappen in reverse order for me.
Yeah, I'm going a different position for Charles Leclerc, second to Max Verstappen, and I'm throwing in my third position Carlos Sainz Jr. Always good. Ferraris can be fast as Canada. Yeah.
You're all in on the Ferrari being better than McLaren, are you?
Yeah.
All right. We'll see how that plays out.
Xfinity Sonoma. You've got a lot of guys. You got notable Cup guys coming in. Dad going AJ Allmendinger, which is, I think, statistically his worst road course, but it is a road course. It is AJ Allmendinger. You will run top 5, probably, I would assume. But I'm going with Ty Gibbs. Always good at road courses. Xfinity Series dominator. He gets us.
I'm going with Jesse Love. Not hometown, but closest to home track for him. Maybe that means something. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. But NorCal guy. I'm a NorCal guy. NorCal track. Let's do it.
All right. Going to Cup racing. My dad going with Chase Elliott, another guy who's historically at Sonoma. Still a great road course driver, but not necessarily great at Sonoma. I'm going with a guy who is great at Sonoma, not really known as a road course guy, Martin Truex Jr. He always seems to run well. I was between him and a guy whose name sounds like Lyle Carson.
Good old Lyle Carson. I went with Tyler Reddick. I don't like it, but it is what I picked. So here I am talking about it. He has 2 back-to-back 4th place finishes. So driving fairly well, one could say, and I would say. And hasn't had like a ton of success at Sonoma. In fact, just like hasn't really done good there. But he is pretty solid on road courses. I mean, like one Circuit of the Americas has been pretty decent at the Roval. I mean, better than decent actually. So I don't know, is Sonoma just a weird one for him, or will this be the year he figures it out? Stay tuned.
And I just want to say I am in a good mood because the Giants, Ethan,
All right.
have lost the series to Arizona Diamondbacks. Harrison is embarrassing. And on that note, good night, goodbye. See you all later.
Bye
Peace out.
and good night to everyone but Andrew.
To me, it looked like he actually lost the wheel.
The wheel for Ross Chastain is still and perfect.
Wheel on the track.
Did you leave the wheel loose?
You picked the fine time to leave me loose, wheel.